Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started in a couple of minutes. It's 6:30. If you're joining us, you should be here for a Community Environmental Council webinar. So we're just going to give folks a few minutes to get started. Do you want to let you know that it's our goal today and our plan to wrap by 7:30. Just give folks a minute to log in, and we're already up to 30 attendees, which is fantastic. I know we had some more RSVPs, so give folks a moment. Do you want to acknowledge it's been quite a week? I know many of you were evacuated. Heard lots of stories about folks being stranded by road closures, and there's been a lot of challenging situations this week. And I know as we're sitting here, some of us are already getting emergency alerts about the storms this weekend. So please know that we are all so grateful that you are safe and that you're able to join us this evening. Okay. Well, it looks like folks are here and more are still joining, but we'll go ahead and get started. So we want to ask you, if you're able, please share in the chat your name, your location, and we'd also love to hear what you're most excited to learn about the Climate Stewards program today. Today's webinar is called Creating Waves of Change, CEC's Climate Stewards Talk Local Action and Impact. And this webinar is part of the CEC's Climate Action Webinar Series. I'll give folks a minute to tell us who you are. Hey, Michelle. Lots of friends in the chat. Well, while folks are doing that, I will introduce myself. My name is Jenna Taj. In my day job, I am lucky to be the president and CEO of Planned Parenthood California Central Coast. But I'm joining you here today as a CEC certified climate steward. And I think the weather events of this week really reminded all of us of how important it is that we look to local action, what we can do in our homes, in our communities, and what grassroots actions that we can take to mitigate the climate crisis. So I'm so glad that all of you are joining us here tonight to have this conversation. And I want to thank you for joining specifically to learn about the Climate Stewards program, because this is an incredible program. And I think what you're going to learn tonight is that climate stewards who, like me, have graduated this program have gone on to do amazing things and are creating waves of local grassroots climate action. This virtual meeting is taking place in what's known as California. California is home to nearly 200 tribal nations, and we acknowledge and honor the original inhabitants of our many regions here in California. The Community Environmental Council is coming to you from Chumash lands. If you'd like, please go ahead and add your own land acknowledgement to the chat. So we have a dynamic conversation planned with some of my fellow climate stewards who are taking powerful climate action. And we also have a Q&A. So please do chime in and let us know what questions you have as we go on so we can respond to those. But we want to do a little bit of housekeeping before we dive into that conversation. So the first thing we want you to know is that this webinar is being recorded, and you will receive a link to the recording and other resources after the event is over. This is an active session, and your participation throughout this webinar is encouraged. So we want to invite you to add questions to the Q&A during the presentations while folks are speaking, and we will answer them as we're able to when we get to the Q&A at the end. You might want to take a moment to just orient yourself to where the Q&A box is on your screen. And there's a really cool feature to know about, which is that if someone asks a question and you have the same question, which happens, you can actually just upvote that question, which tells us that that's an important question to get to because more than one person has the same question. You can also use, there's a chat feature, so you can use that for any other comments, concerns, appreciations, or if you have resources or information that you want CEC to know about that you'd like to share. We do have a CEC support team here to help us, including Nicole and Jillian, who are running the technical side of things. Alexis, who you'll see as one of the panelists, and Jeannie Marie, who is monitoring the chat and Q&A as an attendee. Thank you, staff. And we'd like to take a moment to get a sense of today's audience and who's here with a quick poll. And the poll is just going to pop up on your screen. And we'd love to get a sense of who's here. So you can see the polls have popped up. There are 3 questions. And we really just want to know, how familiar are you with the Climate Stewards program? Do you currently take actions in your home, office, or community to counteract climate change? And are you currently considering becoming a climate steward? Great, so thanks everyone for participating. We are going to get those results momentarily. And while we're waiting, I'm going to pass the stage to the dynamic Kathy King, CEC's Director of Climate Leadership, who is going to share a few words about CEC and their work with Climate Stewards.
Thank you, Jenna, for that nice introduction, and hello, everyone. It's great to be with you tonight. To orient you to CEC's work, we are going to share a new video, so let's roll that now.
Droughts, fires, mudslides, heat waves. These are signs of the climate chaos that threaten our homes, jobs, and very lives on the Central Coast. We are the Community Environmental Council, and we believe in a world where everyone is safe from climate chaos, no matter your zip code, your day job, or the color of your skin. For the past 50 years, we have fiercely protected the California Central Coast, pioneering real-life environmental solutions for people who live here. Today, climate chaos is increasing, putting every person in jeopardy. That's why the Community Environmental Council has a plan. With your help, we're turning our region into a bright spot of climate action, a living laboratory where artists, farmers, entrepreneurs, students, business leaders, all of us contribute wisdom and innovation, where we build real solutions that stop climate change in its tracks. Solutions like training hundreds of community members how to create waves of climate action in their local networks. Like rapidly shifting our homes, cars, and buildings to run on 100% renewable energy. Like mobilizing farmers and ranchers to pull carbon out of the air and back into the soil where it belongs. Solutions like these can start here and ripple out to other communities, propelling change at warp speed. We must do everything we can as fast as we can to reverse climate change, repair the damage it has already caused, and protect every single person right down to the very most vulnerable. To change everything, we need everyone. Are you in? Join us at CECSB.org to end climate chaos now.
So I think a lot of you might be familiar with CEC. Our main focus is rapid and equitable solutions to the climate crisis. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. And tonight we're here to talk about our Climate Stewards program, because an important part of our work is activating everyday people to take action on climate in their communities. We know that we need all hands on deck to make serious climate progress, and we have already seen that in motion with our 80 certified alumni to date. CEC is a partner in the California-wide Climate Stewards program organized by the UC Office of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Up until recently, it was called the UC Climate Stewards program. So if you've noticed that we've dropped the UC, that's intentional, because the statewide program actually dropped UC from the name because the program is growing so quickly that it is already in other states and is going international. The program provides certification similar to the California Naturalist program that UC ANR has been running for several years. There's also an option for UC Davis credit with the course, because the course is an equivalent of a 4-unit UC class. The Climate Stewards course, see, I was about to do that, is designed to give people the tools they need for community activism. It's meant for working people. So the class sessions are in the evenings and the field trips are on the weekends. I trained as an instructor in the first instructor cohort in the summer of 2020, and CEC was one of the first partner organizations to offer the course. We started with a pilot in early of 21. We are still the only Central Coast organization offering the course. We've now completed 5 cohorts and are accepting applications for number 6, which we already have a lot of people enrolled, which is great. It's starting in a couple of weeks, and we'll have more information for everyone here about that later. Let's pause now for another short video so you can hear firsthand from some of our stewards.
Hi, my name is Patty Winans.
My name is Angela.
My name is Mel.
And my name is Serena. And my name is Das Richardson.
My name is Noah.
My name is Greg Godero. And I took the CEC's UC Climate Stewards course. I really care for our future and for the environment, and if we care, we need to do more, and I just want to learn how I can do more.
And I recommend this course because I think anyone could benefit from a kind of guided connection to the land.
I recommend the UC Climate Stewards course because it gives you an introduction to understanding our impact on the spaces that surround us.
This course has taught me how to communicate with people about climate change, and it's given me the knowledge of the science behind it so I can feel more confident when I'm talking to people about it.
It's a great course to get to know other people and local organizations and learn more about climate leadership. There's really just such good conversation that's been fostered in this course because the people in the cohort come from such diverse backgrounds.
Climate stewardship can't happen without building relationships with community. I appreciate that this program is community-based.
They give you lots of tools, encourage you, you find a group that you can unite with, you can emote with, and feel inspired to do more. And it's just a great resource that I think should be available to everyone in the United States.
It's been a lot of fun. I have made new friends. The coursework is wonderful. I'm learning a lot, and I hope to make a difference.
This slide is not fully loaded, I don't think, but I will go ahead and tell you what's on it because you're probably all in suspense about what are the 5 truths of climate change. Here it is. Oh, they come in one at a time. Oh, I see, you're waiting for me to say it. This slide is from Noki, which is a climate change communication leader that we do study a lot of Noki's work in the class. So the 5 truths: it's real, it's us, experts agree, it's bad, there's hope. We saw evidence of climate impacts earlier this week throughout California. As most of you know, warmer air holds more moisture and warmer ocean water fuels storm strength. So we are seeing weather events that drop a lot of precipitation all at once. And I echo Jenna in telling you that we are deeply sorry if you were affected this week, and we are all crossing our fingers that this weekend's storm is less impactful. Next slide. We are sharing this slide to show our pride in being one of the top providers of the course in the state. These numbers are a little bit out of date, but we are still tracking second toward the top. We are also proud to be represented here with so many wonderful statewide partners. Next slide, thank you. All of our cohorts become communities of practice. That is groups of like-minded people who are strongly connected within a safe space. These communities of practice are growing statewide with over about 600 certified climate stewards as of last month. A big group of those were California Climate Action Corps fellows who received the course as part of their training. CEC participated in that program, teaching a group of LA and San Diego fellows, and it was a great experience and a wonderful way to connect with Southern California organizations that are doing great work. These are photos from some of our field trips. to the Botanic Garden in Santa Barbara, beach cleanup with Explore Ecology, a tour of the landfill, and much more. These field trips give our participants time to connect in person and discover community engagement opportunities. And I'll share some of our demographics. Our students range from young professionals to retirees. They come from Montecito to Oxnard, Goleta to Guadalupe, and beyond. We've had quite a few people from San Luis Obispo. The capstone projects are a big part of the course, and those completed by Climate Stewards to date have added climate projects at foundations, local businesses, nonprofits, city governments, and retirement communities. And speaking of which, our alumni have won awards. Sandy Grasso Boyd from the summer of 21 and her husband Bill were awarded the Alliance of Natural Resource Outreach and Service Programs Outstanding Volunteer Project for 2022. This is nationwide for their work at Vista Del Monte Retirement Community where they live. They got a beautiful wooden plaque that I'm presenting to them next week. So Sandy and Bill, if you're watching, congratulations again from all of us. In just a minute, we'll get to hear firsthand from some of our stewards. But first, Jenna, do you want to share the poll results?
I'd love to share the poll results. So how familiar are you with the Climate Stewards program? It looks like 5 being very familiar. So it looks like we have some real opportunity tonight to inform people about the Climate Stewards work. It looks like 36% said 1, 17% said 2, 31% said 3. So this is exciting. I'm so glad that so many folks have joined us tonight to learn about the Climate Stewards program. The second question is, do you currently take action in your home, office, community to counteract climate change? And 98% of you said yes, which doesn't surprise me at all, given that you are spending your Thursday evening on a CEC webinar. So that's fantastic. So what I'm seeing is these are folks that are already engaging on climate and are here to learn how you can be even more effective, which means you've come to the right place. And the third question is, are you currently considering becoming a climate steward? And 43% of folks said yes. 40% of folks said maybe. That's really exciting. And I have to say, looking at those photographs and even just that video with the closed captioning really put a smile on my face, because as a climate steward graduate, I can say that all of those sentiments are 100% correct. You do make friends. It is a community of practice. The field trips are outstanding, and you learn so much about what's already happening in your community. And you can get a lot of climate optimism from this program. So I'm going to turn it back to Kathy.
Thank you. Oops. You've stopped my video from being able to, for me to restart it myself. Okay, there we go. Sorry. I got locked out of sharing my video. Thank you, Jenna, for that lovely summary. And also, that's amazing that nearly half of people here are interested in the class. We are able to take 30 people in the class, and we have about half of that already. So if you really are serious, we're going to fill up. But we are going to offer it 2 more times this year. So don't worry if you don't get into this cohort, we will have more for you. So joining us tonight, I'm super excited because this is the part where you get to meet some people with audio. You've met Jenna, who is the CEO of Planned Parenthood Central Coast in California and was certified last winter. Also Sarah Siegschlag, John Cunningham, and Celeste Anderson. So starting with Jenna, we'll just do a short intro round here. So tell us where you're joining us from and maybe a little bit about your capstone project.
Great. Well, I'm joining tonight from Santa Barbara. My name is Jenna Tosh. My pronouns are she and her. And yeah, my day job, I am the CEO of Planned Parenthood California Central Coast. And my capstone project was around climate communication with Planned Parenthood stakeholders. And so, I came to the Climate Stewards program with a real intention of making sure that Planned Parenthood was engaging authentically and meaningfully around climate justice work. And I really wanted a skill set to talk with folks. And thankfully, the Climate Stewards program has a very robust climate communications module. And so I really leaned into that and created some social media, some newsletters, things like that for our donors and supporters to really connect those dots. And I think what I would say is if there's opportunity for anyone to do that at your job, it's a really great way to be efficient with your time. It's to really think about ways that you're already engaging in climate or where there may be opportunities for you to engage at home or in your business for your capstone.
Thank you. And you're a wonderful example of how we've had a lot of other nonprofit staff take the class and really use it in that way, and even people at businesses as well. So it's really an opportunity to infuse that climate message wherever you can. And it's also a really great point that the class really does have a very strong social science modules, units, curriculum, so that it's not just about the hard science, but it's also about how we feel about it, how we talk about it, and how we communicate it broadly. So thank you for bringing up all of those great points. Sarah, we'll go to you next. Just share a little bit about yourself and the capstone that you did.
Yeah, so my name is Sarah Seachlog. I live in Santa Barbara. And for my day job, I work at UCSB advising student groups on environmental projects, environmental advocacy, both at UCSB and around the community. And so my capstone project really focused on revising some of the curriculum that we had been doing, and some workshops that were just not quite what we wanted them to be, and I got them to be more community focused and less kind of these like one-off individual actions, but really engaged more students on a longer term basis. So that was really successful, and I think the Climate Steward program, like I think you were just saying, really emphasizes that communication and local community engagement, which is really, really helpful.
Wonderful, thank you. And you have some fans in the chat. UCSB is well represented here. Let's go next to John.
Oh, hey, good evening, everyone. My name's John Cunningham. I live in Santa Barbara, as seems like lots of us do. And I'm 12 days into retirement. So this has certainly been a good time for me to look at new directions and kind of plot the third trimester of my life and what I'm going to be doing. And I'm definitely was ready when I looked into the Climate Stewards to get beyond my hybrid car and the solar panels I'd put on my own house and taking my reusable bags everywhere, and kind of look for a way to take some real action where I could be impactful in the community. And little did I know, as I drove down Shoreline Drive in early October and saw a cruise ship sitting out there in offshore, spewing black smoke up into the sky, that was going to be the genesis of my capstone project. Our outlines for the capstone were due in about a week, and I just found myself digging deeper and deeper and finding out more and more about it. And basically used a lot of the skills that I was taught in the Stewards course, as far as listening first and understanding where other people are coming from, and that's just been a great way to open up conversations and get involved with the community. Locally, we have the Channel Keepers, which is a nonprofit that is very active in monitoring the health of the channel. And just all, I could go on for a long time. I told Kathy I had 28 minutes prepared for tonight, but I'll cut it short because I think Celeste has some great stuff to share with you as well. Thanks.
We'll come back to you too, John.
Sure.
And you've also, well, congratulations on your retirement for one thing.
Yeah.
And also you've kind of provided the ultimate your ultimate recommendation for the class in that your wife
Oh, yeah.
is going to be in our next cohort. So
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
brought her to one of our field trips and got her hooked. So excited to keep the Cunningham family
Absolutely.
in our sphere. So thanks for that.
Cool. Sure.
And last but not least, Celeste.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Celeste Anderson, and I am a healthcare and compliance attorney, and I live in Solvang in the San Ynez Valley, so representing North County. And I actually took this class to do something completely different from what I do day to day. And I have always been interested in wildlife and nature and ecology issues. And so I saw this as an opportunity, actually as an empty nester, to dig into something that I really care about and wanted to get more information about. So I kind of like John, it was somewhat inspirational how I came to a very, what I think is a unique type of capstone project, because it's really an ecological project. My capstone was on bringing beavers to Santa Barbara County waterways. And really, I was listening to an NPR program where they were interviewing individuals who had been advocates around restoration for beavers and getting funding to have California support this effort on a broader scale. And so just because of my interest in wildlife and protecting the environment and learning more about the importance of beavers in their own ecology, that I thought, you know what, I'm going to see where this takes me. And it has been a really interesting process because I've learned so much. There are beavers in San Luis Obispo County. Who knew that? There's a beaver brigade in San Luis, and there's also a beaver brigade here in Santa Barbara. And so as a result of the work that I've done through the capstone project, I've actually networked with very new groups. Santa Barbara Permaculture is the sponsor of the Santa Barbara Beaver Brigade. And so there's some really fun events that are going to be occurring I was just saying 2023, so February and April, and I'm looking forward to getting involved in those. So it actually has been a lot of fun. And I've learned a lot of detail about the budget specific to this issue, as well as efforts that have been going on around the state to bring beavers back to California.
Woohoo. Super exciting and really fun, fun to learn about it. Really enlightened our class about what beavers bring to ecosystems. And I think that's not the reputation that they've had. So it's been great. It's great.
Exactly. And especially here, I mean, when we talk about floods and we talk about fire, I mean, a lot of these issues that we deal with every year, beavers can actually impact the environment in a positive way and reduce those climate impacts. So again, there's a lot to learn. And one thing that's great about this class is you can see people really follow their passions. They research independently and decide something that they care about and want to spend the time and get involved with. And I actually went to one of John's meetings. He invited the group. And so I participated, although I'm up in San Ynez, maybe not as related to that issue, but I did attend and listen, and it was a great turnout at the last meeting on the cruise ship. So, that networking has also been really great.
It is. It's wonderful. And Lee Heller, who was in the previous cohort, is also part of that group and really is one who alerted CEC to it. So we really are expanding our network through this program. So thank you. And I'm going to go back around now and we'll dig a little bit deeper. So Jenna, coming back to you. We've talked a little bit about this, but if you have more to add, why do you think it's important for all types of nonprofits to engage on climate?
First, I just wonder if I'm the only person that just Googled Beaver Brigade. That sounds so interesting. Thank you, Celeste, for bringing that into my vocabulary. I follow a climate organization called Project Drawdown. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that organization, but there was something that I read a little bit over a year ago where they said that one of their goals for last year was a project called Make Every Job a Climate Job. And I really latched on to that idea because I think, like so many folks, I have felt overwhelmed by the climate crisis. And as a mother of 3 young kids, I spent a lot of time worrying about the type of world that we're leaving our children. And so, I really just started to think about, okay, what can I do beyond the reusable bags, driving an electric car, the backyard composting, right? Like I felt like I was checking off these boxes and I still felt this calling to do more. And so I started to think about just really the size and scope of my own organization that has 6 health centers along the Central Coast, that has 150 employees, that serves over 30,000 people with healthcare every year, and that also engages with young people with education and advocacy work. And then I really started to consider the intersection between reproductive justice and climate justice. And the fact is that it's undeniable. We saw 5 years ago when the Thomas Fire and the mudslides happened, there was an immediate devastating impact on reproductive health access along the Central Coast because patients were separated from their healthcare provider. Providers were stranded and couldn't reach patients. And what I've come to really believe is that's true about every issue that you care about. If you work in nonprofit and you work in food insecurity, climate justice matters to your mission. If you work in animal welfare, if you work in racial justice, climate justice matters. And every nonprofit can engage in climate justice work, and every nonprofit job can be and should be a climate job. And so, I think that's really where it has become clear for me. And so the way that we're doing work now is we're really weaving it in to our organization. Climate resilience, the words climate resilience appear in our strategic plan, which means we've had conversations with our board of directors, with all of our staff. We are engaging our donors and understanding how we are thinking about our role. We are working with CEC to solarize our buildings. And not only are we doing that and getting battery backup, we have signage in our health centers that say this center is powered by solar, right? We're talking to our patients about it. We're not taking the lead as advocates on climate justice. We know organizations like CEC do that, but we care about the health and well-being of folks in the communities that we serve, which means that that's part of our advocacy work too. We will speak up and oppose Exxon's trucking proposal, for example, because fossil fuels threaten the health and well-being of the people that we serve. And the last thing I'll say is that, Planned Parenthood's patients are overwhelmingly young. Our patients are 18 to 30 years old, mostly, about 80% of them are. The students that we work with are in junior high and high school. And if you work in a nonprofit that serves young people, I think we have an imperative, an ethical imperative to engage on climate, because the health and well-being of future generations absolutely depends on how effective we are on addressing the climate crisis today.
Beautifully said. Thank you. And just so important that organizations like yours that have so much, that are so well respected and well thought of in the community, that you're just helping give credence and lend weight to the necessity of people understanding the cause and what it's doing to people. The health and well-being piece, especially like you said, for young people, there's so much climate anxiety and grief among young people. So any way that we can help them with that lifts us all. So it's beautiful.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you. Sarah, you also work with young people. So if you want to share any more about your work at UCSB with your students, and also any additional actions that you might have taken as a result of participating in the course.
Yeah, so I was really interested in this course specifically because of the emphasis on communication and local community engagement is really how it's the center of the whole module. Um, and I think because a lot of climate change related education focuses exclusively on climate science and just how bad the impacts are, and assumes that if we just convince people how bad and how dire the problem is, they'll like naturally decide to just do something about it. And that's not really true. Most of my work is with UCSB students who are, undergrads, they're in their 20s, and the vast majority of people in their 20s absolutely accept that climate change is happening to the point that they are much more likely to shut down due to just the overwhelming anxiety of like what the rest of their lives are looking like. If you just keep kind of doing this same like climate change is terrible and everything is collapsing messaging. And so I think the climate change program really reminded me how much we need to be teaching like hope and ways to connect and form a community, especially for younger generations. And so I think now when I'm asking students to take on something new, whether it's like a personal lifestyle change or like an advocacy campaign to block Exxon's trucks that we did last year, I make sure they don't think it's hopeless. I frame it as a community action rather than something they're doing alone. So like in the advocacy campaign, I'd be clear on the risks of something like the trucks, but more than that, we really emphasize that our groups have taken on similar efforts and won, that it's possible, and that I let the students who were involved in the past not just like speak to the impacts they had and not just focus on impacts and victories, but also that like the people they met, how much they liked working with everyone, like, and just really that it was like fun. A lot of advocacy work is just really fun and funny and is really inspiring. And when we're teaching about like personal lifestyle changes, we're not just like throwing out sustainability tips. We're encouraging people to do something like with their friends or roommates, or like this is what we as a group do, and we make it something like it's a fun challenge that everyone's doing together. It's not like a sacrifice to like something they're giving up. And so I think what's actually really interesting that I've noticed is that like as I've put more emphasis on getting my groups to be more like socially connected and really emphasizing that aspect of it, like their advocacy work is like naturally just getting better on its own. Because they're more connected, they're more engaged, they're more hopeful, they're not like retreating into like the worst parts of themselves and getting anxious. And so it's just really clear to me that people need friends and community to stay engaged and like do their best work. And yeah, I mean, through this program, I met a lot of really great people and I connected more with CEC, and it was just a really inspiring process.
Thank you. It's great to hear that your students are feeling hopeful and, engaging in positive ways rather than, because you keep hearing about how young people are starting to feel a little more constricted and a little bit paralyzed sometimes. So you must be really inspiring them to have positive attitude.
I hope so. And I think we also don't shy away from it. One of my students and I will talk about, like we acknowledge that, yeah, sometimes it's a bad day and sometimes it feels like everything's going to be lost. And we've started using kind of our go-to phrase is like, go outside and look at a bird. And that bird is great and that bird is beautiful, and like there's still birds in the world, and like we're going to do what we can because we love that bird and we like seeing that bird. And so we look at a lot of birds.
I love it. Get out in nature. That is often prescribed as a solution and something to make us feel better. So that's perfect. And also, Sarah, just one follow-up question there. You have gone a little bit farther with your Climate Stewards education. Do you want to share about that?
Yes. So I have learned, through my time at UCSB. And now through this course that I think I am just a climate educator at heart and communication educator. And so in October, I took the course to become a Climate Stewards instructor myself. So that is something I am getting ready to do and will hopefully be doing soon. So yeah, that'll be exciting.
Congratulations on that certification. And just so everyone here knows, not that everyone's ready to take that leap, but they are offering out of UCANR up at UC Davis, they're offering the instructor training twice a year. In February, it's going to be remote, online, and I think it's full for next month. And then in person in October, like what Sarah did. So, and Celeste, back to you. If you want to talk a little bit more about your project or anything other takeaways from the class that you want to share.
Sure. So I wanted to share one thing about the class that I really enjoyed is how it's structured. And so there's that ability to hone in particular chapters where you have particular interest. So, we covered over 8 different, well, not 8 topics, we had 8 different chapters. And so for me, there is a focus on ecology and water conservation and preservation of the land. And so in the way that the materials are offered, you can do deep dives and go in and look at more data and charts and really follow that interest and become more of a subject matter expert in the areas that you want to learn more about. There's videos, there's interactive materials, there's a little bit of writing. And so, it's something that allows you to do, what the required work, where in those areas that, you want to know the basic amount and then do the deep dives in areas that you want to learn more about. The field trips were really so much fun, especially when we're doing everything remote, that we have a chance to get out and spend time with each other, talk about our different areas of interest and passions and what we want to, do as our capstones and bouncing ideas off each other. So got to go to some places I've never been to, up in the Guadalupe Dunes, really beautiful. Again, I'm very nature oriented. So for me, that was just such a beautiful field trip to spend the time in that area. And so, as far as with my capstone project, I'm doing a lot of networking. I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense. There's policy issues here. And so regulations need to be changed in California before beavers can be relocated. And so that's why I say, well, heck, how did they get to San Luis and not here when we have so much of our county is covered by forest and wildland? But we can't really bring beavers in here until Fish and Wildlife amend the regulations and then allow the transfers to occur. But what we can do is have a network of people who are receptive to this, understand that, beavers aren't pests, that there are ways to manage the dam building to make sure that there isn't destruction of property, that trees are protected. There's actually mesh you put around the trees to make sure they don't take out your favorite oak trees. So there's a lot that can be done. I've actually ended up on some action items, like, in different states where I got onto a network of beaver related advocacy throughout the country. And so I'm getting really interesting emails and requests to take action on things that are happening throughout the country. And it's like, sure, learning more about this issue nationwide. So, so I wish there was more hands-on activity going on now, but if we can prepare ourselves and I do send emails and do what I can to inform other entities in the county about this effort, about the budget, that there are 5 new full-time employment positions in the Department of Fish and Wildlife that are going to be dedicated to beaver restoration. And if our county is amenable and the right people know about it and are ready to support the effort, we may be one of the counties that gets a relocated beaver family. So that's why at this point, I want to get up to San Luis Obispo. They are offering hikes out to their beaver dams. And Emily Fairfax is actually a local expert and associate professor at Channel Islands. And she's just done amazing work in this area. She was one of the people that I listened to being interviewed on NPR and was so inspirational. And so she actually comes out to lead those walks at least once a year in San Luis Obispo. So I look forward to joining that opportunity in February. And then, like I say, the first ever Beaver Festival in Central Coast is going to happen in April. And Martinez, California has had this for years. And so we're going to model the festival in San Luis after what they've done in Martinez. So there's a pattern to follow. And I'm looking forward to doing what I can at our own Earth Day celebration, as Kathy and I have chatted about.
Fabulous. Thank you for that. Yeah, that Emily Fairfax video, maybe we'll put it in the show notes when we send out our follow-up, because she has that really cute little 1-minute video that I've been sharing with the class that's not only great about beavers, but also just a perfect spot-on little example of climate communication that is sharp and quick and also fun. Okay, Dawn, I skipped you on that round, sorry. So you get to bring us to a close of this segment. And I can give you about 1.5 minutes, I think, at this point, because we're running long.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I see we're getting near the end here. Yeah, rather than go more and more on the capstone, I thought I'd share a little bit from the very first session. I just found the calling, the required reading or the requested reading was the Climate Stewardship book by Aidan Merlander. And I mean, that is a book that's just packed full of people who are out there actually making a difference in the state of California. And that was the inspiration that just made me feel like it is possible. I know Sarah talks about the younger generation. And as I looked at that, I said, we all need to be doing some step in our own community. And each of us gets sparked by different things. You know, Celeste has the beavers, and, you know, I was looking at cruise ships, but each of us has some event or some activity within our community that all you got to do is roll up your sleeves and get involved. And the Climate Stewards course gave me the absolute confidence to go out there and get involved and to meaningfully make an impact around here. So, I mean, I could go on more, but I know there's lots of other stuff to talk about tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, John. We will schedule another one of these webinars and give us a little bit more elbow room, I think, because yeah, it is a really rich topic, and you all bring so many different perspectives and experiences to it. So I appreciate everything that you have all said so much. So we are going to do one other quick segment now, because there's a resource out there that allows everyone to take action on climate right now. And CEC is a partner in this project, and it's called Resilient Central Coast. And now I'm going to turn it over to Emily Gottlieb from Ecology Action up in Santa Cruz, who is going to fill us quickly. Sorry about that.
No worries. Can everyone hear me okay? Great. Thanks so much for having me, Kathy and CEC. I'm thrilled to be here. I've got a few slides to share with you all. So I will wait for that to pop up. But yeah, just by way of introduction, my name is Emily Gottlieb. I work up at Ecology Action in Santa Cruz. I live in Seaside, which is in Monterey County. And in a moment, you'll get to see my email address, which I can also drop into the chat. Great, thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Resilient Central Coast campaign, which is an initiative that is led by Ecology Action in partnership with 24 public agencies and nonprofits, including Community Environmental Council in the Central Coast region. So this campaign connects residents with climate action that they can take at home, and it connects them with other people who are interested in taking action. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this came about from a regional need for an online platform, sort of a one-stop shop for people to be able to find household climate action, but it also connects to a greater kind of national need. So according to a study from the Yale program on climate communication, about 70% of people are concerned about climate change, but they don't know how to act. And what you may not already be familiar with is that about 40% of the US greenhouse gas emissions come from 5 basic household activities that we do every day: our electricity use, how we heat our homes, our transportation, food choices, and our waste stream. That's really surprising to some people. Next slide, please. The great news is that we have actions in we have solutions in all of these areas that we can take right now. So actions that you can take to not only significantly lower your impact, but also to save money, to improve your health, and to create local jobs and create community resilience. So this is a really important time with lots of opportunities available. Okay, so what is the Resilient Central Coast campaign? This campaign is really twofold. So it is an online platform. It's backed by the Bright Action platform, which hosts over 100 household actions that you can take to reduce your impact on the climate while saving money. And that database also links to local data like utility and water rates, so people can get feedback on their savings. And then the other part of the campaign is that it is powered by a deep community engagement strategy, which I'll get into in a moment too. So this is just a list of some of our partners in the region who are really fortunate to come together with over the years. In 2022, we launched this campaign in 4 counties. And 2 more counties, Monterey and San Benito, are coming live early this year. So we have this platform already launched and customized within 4 counties, and then it'll be region-wide in just a few more weeks. And then this is just a quick glimpse at the online platform that I mentioned. So this is where you can find those actions that you can take. So the actions are divided up into different categories. So shifting your transportation, home energy, waste. And as I mentioned too, this platform is backed by a really robust carbon calculator, and it uses local and very specific household data like utility and water rates. And then we also have the ability to link to very local resources like rebates, programs, and opportunities that come up at the city, county, or regional scale. So how can you get involved? I just want to say for this audience, just a reminder that the action that you take is really important. According to a study that came out from the University of Pennsylvania, only 25% of individuals in a social group need to make a shift before significant social change follows. So before this sort of critical mass of change occurs. So your action really matters, and communicating your action to others matters too. So you can get involved. You can get involved soon. On the next slide, you'll see a link where you'll be able to, you can scan this QR code, or you can visit the Resilient Central Coast landing page to find your own local platform page. And we're also encouraging folks who are maybe already taking some climate action at home and want to engage friends, neighbors, coworkers to also take climate action to start a Resilient Central Coast team. And so we're going to be providing lots of resources for folks who want to lead a team, including meeting agendas, videos, and things like that. We'll also be hosting a series of meetings throughout the year, which will be opportunities for folks to come together and learn more deeply about household climate action and to connect with other people who are interested in working together towards a better future. The first meeting will be held the evening of February 16th, and we'll be hearing from speakers from 3C Ren and Central Coast Community Energy. They'll share information about home energy programs and IRA funding. And then going forward, we'll be holding meetings on a monthly basis. So I hope that you'll join us. Please email me if you're interested in becoming a part of our community.
Thank you, Emily. You will hear more about this program from CEC because we are a partner in it. And you can also email any of us at CEC about it, or me when you get the follow-up email if you have any questions. And Jillian, can we go to the learn more and register slide at this point, please? I think it's slide 33, but I'm not sure on your end. So we were going to put up a slide where there's a QR code. We'll also put a link in the chat. Alexis, if you're able to do that. The next class, like I think we've mentioned, starts January 25th, and there is still room. So we hope to see as many of you as want to join us, and you're also welcome to join us at a future cohort if we fill up. And we are looking to grow our instructor group so that we can offer as many as there is demand. I want to thank our sponsors tonight, Marburg Industries, Cox Communications, and Advanced Veterinary Specialists. We are so grateful for your support, and thanks again to Emily and all of our partners at Resilient Central Coast. Free events like this are just one of the ways the Community Environmental Council works to advance rapid and equitable solutions to the climate crisis. CEC is one of only a handful of nonprofits in Santa Barbara County to hold the highest possible ratings on both Charity Navigator and GuideStar. You can support CEC's critical work by visiting cecsb.org/donate. We use those investments to create positive results here on the Central Coast. These are just a few examples, and it's why we have for more than 50 years been a trusted partner in this community. So you'll look for that follow-up email in the next few days. It'll have a webinar recording and a lot of other resources that we have shared here with you tonight. Thanks again to all of our wonderful speakers and panelists. It has been great to see you all again, and I hope you got a sense of how connected people get when they take this course and how meaningful it is in their daily lives in so many different ways, and how passionate they all are about what they're doing. And thank you all for taking time on a Thursday night to tune in to our CEC webinar series as we continue to focus on taking bold action, stopping climate change, and reimagining how we live on this planet. And I hope you all stay safe and dry this weekend and have a wonderful rest of your evening and a great weekend. Thank you.